Marino, Jennifer Horn, live from our Dinner with the Candidates broadcast. We're live this afternoon on both AM870 and AM590, and we've got a live audience here in Fullerton at Angelo's and Vinci's, and we are going to continue meeting key candidates in the upcoming November election.
Yep, a big special thank you to Officer Tatum and Mark Levin for letting us borrow their time slot just for today so that we can introduce you to the biggest names on your ballot coming up in November 8th, just around the corner. And two candidates are running for Assembly. Burton Brink is here running for the 49th Assembly District, and Michael McMahon from the 41st Assembly District. Burton and Michael, hello.
Hello. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Good afternoon. Guys. Now, I love putting you guys together because both of you have some law enforcement backgrounds.
Yep.
And Burton, let's start with you, and then Michael will get your story. But Burton, you served in law enforcement. You have run for the Assembly before, and you are running again. You truly believe in law and order, crime, refunding the police, and a whole lot more to keep people safe. Is that your top campaign issue this time around?
Absolutely. It's still crime. Crime is still a very big issue. We have AB 109, Prop 47, that's been spoken about before, Prop 57, and that is the criminals' trifecta. And that has allowed these criminals to have total freedoms to do whatever they want. And all the people out here, all of our citizens are being stuck, locked into their homes, can't go out with their watches, can't go out to their nice cars, can't go out and do anything because the politicians in Sacramento have made it unsafe for all of us in the state of California, and especially in Los Angeles County with a terrible DA who fails to uphold his oath of office and arrest these people and to prosecute these people.
But they don't have any solutions. What are solutions that you would propose?
Well, the first solution is to get rid of Prop 47. And as Bill was talking about before, we're having so many problems with our homeless and all the issues with these crimes and people having total freedom, the criminals having total freedoms, that we need to have that back. When you have crimes that were moved up to $950, small businesses can't afford that. Even the big businesses can't afford that because nothing is happening to the criminals. There's no consequences. Nobody's going to jail for it. So that we got to get rid of Proposition 47. And because it was voted on, we have to get it through the Assembly and the Senate to get it back on the ballot to make sure we have the teeth into our laws so we're protected out here in our communities.
Absolutely. What was the idea? Was the idea on Prop 47 that, we don't want people to have, a criminal record that's going to keep them from getting a job? I mean, there was some thought behind there that it was going to change things and give more opportunity to people. It didn't work.
No, it didn't at all. I mean, to bill it as the Safer Schools Act, I think is what it was called initially. Yeah, it wanted to decrease the amount of felons that we have in the state prison system. So lo and behold, once it passes, now everybody who was convicted of a felony drops down to a misdemeanor, and poof, crime is solved overnight. But it doesn't work like that. I think one of the other things, just to piggyback off of what Burton had said, we need to get a good, solid attorney general in office to deal with these rogue DAs and wrangle them in. And, it's going to take somebody like Mr. Hochman to get in there.
Absolutely. And Nathan Hochman, by the way, would have been here. It's a Jewish holiday today, so he is definitely going to be on the program, has been before, and certainly a great candidate running for Attorney General. Great chance. And that was the voice of Mike McMahon running for Assembly in the 41st Assembly District. And Mike, we first met because of your story, an incredible story. And I know while crime is really important, there are a lot of freedom issues that are at the center of your campaign as well. Tell people, for the people that don't know your background, why today you're sitting here running for Assembly.
Well, I'm here today because up until July 1st, I was a 14-year member of the LAPD, and I was terminated because I refused to acquiesce to the City of Los Angeles vaccine mandate. And so, thank you. And so that's why I'm sitting here today, is because I'm against mandates of any kind, and that includes, anything that you're forcing on our bodies, but it also extends out to, housing issues. They're mandating these housing issues. Mandates of anything that restrict the free movement of anyone in society, I'm completely against.
Yeah, and I have to ask both of you this because you both have connections to law enforcement. Mike, yours a little bit newer. Burton's just been retired a couple of years. But what's the morale like when we talk about crime? We need a strong police force, and I feel terrible for the LAPD, the LA Sheriff's Department, all of our local law enforcement who had to live through the defund the police movement. Then they were told if they didn't get the vaccine, no matter how great their service, how brave their sacrifice, they would lose their job. my worry is that we won't be able to ever fix crime because there aren't going to be any good police officers left to do it.
No.
How's the morale?
Well, I'll let you.
And we'll start with Mike, and then
Sure.
we'll hear it from you, Bert.
To be honest with you, the morale is at an all-time low. When we have these paper tiger police chiefs who are bending the knee to BLM and Antifa, what does that do to the rank-and-file police officers? We took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and when we can't do our job, when lawsuits and civil rights activists and all of the other people coming out of the woodwork prevent us from doing our job that we took an oath to do, and that was to protect the public, it's incredibly disheartening. And there's that old saying, beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah.
And that's how we're looking at it. The good police candidates are seeing through, and they're asking themselves, why would I want to be a police officer in this climate right now? And we're, as a consequence, we're not fielding the best police officer candidates.
Burton Brink, what do you think? How is the morale?
It's the same thing. In the Sheriff's Department, I know the morale is real low as well because of that. Even though my wife and I are both retired sergeants from the Sheriff's Department, we have a son that's a deputy sheriff right now who's been on for about 6 years, and we have a nephew that's graduating the police academy tomorrow who's going to be working at Burbank. So here's our relatives that are getting into law enforcement and working really hard, but they're very frustrated about what's happening and what they're allowed to do, and they can't do their job anymore. They can't protect you anymore.
Well, and everything's become so litigious in backing yourself up. Yep. I understand there's a fear of liability that these officers are worried about what's down the corner. Absolutely. Are they going to make it so that an officer is risking his house, his life savings, going into his job? And that's up for grabs, isn't it?
Yeah, it is up for grabs. The state of California is trying to take away that
right.
from law enforcement to have those protections for them to do their jobs. I know that myself, and I know Mike is as well, we're going to be working very hard to get rid of those and let law enforcement actually have proactive law enforcement ability so that they can protect us and stop the crimes before they're happening, not after. That's what the problem is with a lot of this that's going on. Mike?
Right. Yeah, and my opponent actually was one of the co-authors of SB2. The SB2 essentially wants to reimagine policing within the state of California, and as Burton alluded to, get rid of the qualified immunity that protects police officers while doing their job from civil liability. If that ever is removed, you're going to see a mass exodus of police officers within this state, and unfortunately, I think the only other option would be a federalization of it.
And what's the move to these ones that are more, I don't want to say touchy-feely, but human resource type people coming out to
community officers.
Yeah, community officers.
Social
they
workers.
Want to, with no guns, right? I mean, they want to send people to houses to deal with domestic violence. It's not safe.
Yeah, what kind of idea is that, guys?
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. The problem that we have with law enforcement or when you're working and you're going to a domestic violence call, it changes in a split second.
Right.
And it can go from a nonviolent situation to a knife being pulled or a gun being pulled or you're in a fight for your life. And having somebody who's going to be there that is unarmed is the worst thing to do. So it's going to be more problematic for the people, and you're going to have more injuries with these civilians that you're going to have supposedly taking care of the situation. It's not going to be taken care of.
So who's driving this idea? I mean, it's not going to work, but there are people pushing it.
People who are not cops, who's never been cops, they don't know what it's like to be out there in the field dealing with these problems day in and day out. When we deal with things out in the field, it changes in a split second. So that's why it's so hard when you get the Monday night quarterback,
yeah,
telling you that you did something wrong. Really, well, we had a split second to make that decision. I've been involved in shootings. I've been shot at. I've been in fights for my life. I've almost died on duty. And when I'm having a politician telling me that I shouldn't have done what I did is just asinine to me. And I don't understand how they believe that you can do it. I think every politician who's going to be doing a law on the people out and for law enforcement and what they're allowed to do needs to, at minimum, go on a ride-along with a large agency like the Sheriff's Department or LAPD so they can see what really happens out there.
Absolutely. I actually had your co-host Grant on a ride-along not too long ago.
I don't know how I didn't get the invite to that, but that's all right. We'll work on it. All right, Burton Brink is here. So is Michael McMahon. Both of them running for Assembly. Burton in the 49th District and Mike in the 41st. Get more information, burtonbrinkca.com, and for Michael, makecaliforniagoldenagain.com. assembly.com.
Actually, that's if I could interrupt.
Yeah.
It's McMahon, the number 4 assembly.com.
What is the other one?
That's with Sarah Stevens,
I
the
do like
incredible
the name.
Sarah Stevens that's made California gold again. She is a huge supporter of the candidates.
So give us the website one more time.
It's McMahon, MCMAHON, the number 4, assembly.com.
Okay, Mike McMahon, number 4, assembly.com. In our final moment, the top issue, aside from crime, because I would imagine with this new announcement by California Republicans, this new commitment to California, we have water issues, we have fire issues, we have obviously the cost of living expenses, but certainly if you're talking about freedoms, education is a huge issue. School choice is a big one. When you're out there and talking like you two are, let's start with you, Mike. What's that top issue?
The top issue for me, to be honest with you, is parental rights.
Mm-hmm.
We are going through the California State Legislature is working as hard as they possibly can to strip parental rights away from the parents within this state. You know, I successfully was up in Sacramento. I lobbied against SB 866, Scott Wiener's bill, and we defeated that. But so many other bills have slipped through the cracks because of that. But my top issue is definitely parental rights.
Burton Brink.
Yep, same thing. Parental rights is very important. School choice is very important. Our water, taxes, inflation, everything that's happening out here right now is affecting our common person that's out here. The politicians don't feel it. We all do. That's why we need to be fighting for you and make sure you have a voice in Sacramento.
One party rule is not working for us here in California.
And you remember, it's the teachers' unions who don't think parents should really have a say. What do they want to have a say in what their kids are learning, right?
Well, they should. The parents should have a say in what's going on. I should have a say in with my kids. Absolutely.
Give us your website one more time, Burton Brink.
Burton Brink. BurtonBrinkCA.com.
And Mike McMahon.
It's McMahon, the number 4, assembly.com.